All right, good afternoon and welcome everybody. We're at the hour, so I'm going to get us started. My name is Kim Krula. I'm the program manager for VWise, and it's my pleasure to welcome everyone to today's Dress for Success with Confidence webinar, hosted by Shavonne Broom of StyleChurch. Yay, welcome Shavonne. So as most of you tuning in live know, VWise is brought to you by the Institute for Veterans and Military Families at Syracuse University in upstate New York, which we call the IVMF. And our mission here at the IVMF is to enhance the post-service lives of veterans and their families. So VWise is one of many wonderful programs you can read about at vets.syr.edu. And Jim, I'll have you type that into the comments section if you can so everybody can see that link. But today's webinar is hosted on our IVMF VetNet Entrepreneur channel. So this channel is actually a free resource for veterans and their families who are interested in starting or growing their own small business. So today's webinar through this channel is streaming live, both on Google Plus and on YouTube, and it will be recorded for future posterity. So, so you can actually go and watch this and any other archived videos at vetnethq.com, and I'll have Jim type that in as well so you can get that link. Before I introduce our speaker for today, I want to make sure everybody who's tuning in knows that we have some great giveaways today as part of our presentation, and I'll let Shavonne talk about those in a couple of minutes. But for right now, what we want to ask everybody to do is, if you're on, please type your first and last name into the chat function on Google Plus or into the comments section on YouTube. That way we know that you've logged on and are watching, and we're going to include your name in the proverbial hat for the raffle drawing later on in the webinar, okay? So your first and last names into the comments section. Additionally, we're going to ask you to use the comments section to post your questions if you have them, and we'll make sure to answer all of those as we progress throughout the presentation. So all those little housekeeping things out of the way, I want to make sure that I fully introduce Shavonne Broom, today's presenter. She is a decorated, award-winning, and proud veteran with more than 10 years of service in the U.S. Air Force. And as a civilian, she's had a successful career in sales and data analysis. Somehow she found the time and all there to get her MBA. So many of you can ask her about that as well, if that's something that you're considering. And her true passion is helping people connect their inner beauty with their outer style. You may have seen her on a hit TV show called America's Got Talent. For those of you who are in Texas, you may also have seen her helping coordinate the staging for San Antonio Fashion Week and the runway event there. She is an entrepreneur herself. Her business is StyleChurch, and she actually works as a personal stylist and consultant to some very influential people in the state of Texas. And what her mission is to help women move past their personal fears and to kind of take their bold and courageous action to, deliver themselves and their brand to the world. So she's a keynote speaker. She hosts workshops. She hosts online trainings such as this one, and she will be on site in San Antonio. The good news. She will be there, I think, pretty much throughout the whole weekend, right, Shavonne?
Yes, I plan to.
Awesome, and particularly during exhibitor hours. So if you want a chance to know where Shavonne is on site in person, come see us at exhibitor hours from 6 to 8 p.m. on Saturday during VWise, and she will be there to talk with you in person and talk with you about your style and what you want to do. And just one other little side note, she's an author as well. I don't know where she finds the time, but she's got a book called Own Your Way to Self-Expression, so you can also look for that book and continue learning from Shavonne for that way. So without any further ado, Shavonne, I'm going to turn it over to you to get started with our webinar.
Oh, fantastic. So thank you, Kimberly, for the introduction. Sometimes it's like, who is she talking about? Because we're all human here, right? And so
Absolutely.
There's a very visible thread that connects all of us, and that's military service. So I'm happy to be in this space. It always feels like home to me. And I'm thankful for the invitation. And I want to say thank you to all the people that said, yes, I'm on. That's Kevin, Aaron, and I saw the VetNet entrepreneur, Carissa Weiss, I think, said she's on YouTube. So thanks all for that are tuning in, and I am ready if you are. All right, so we'll start first with why am I here? How did I get here? So the biggest thing, which is very interesting, is that VWise was in San Antonio back in 2014, I believe. I think it was November 2014. And at the time, I was doing a lot of volunteer work at Dress for Success San Antonio. And there was some coordination between VWise and Dress for Success San Antonio. I was working in their suiting department, and they were like, VWise is coming to San Antonio, a military organization that helps veteran women transition into entrepreneurship. I'm like, yeah. So they're like, would you be willing to support, a consultation session for 80 women? And it was me and 3 other ladies at Dress for Success that said yes. So that's how the connection started. And now we're circling back around. VWise is coming back to San Antonio again in August, which is going to be next weekend. Can't believe it.
Yeah, hard to believe.
I can't believe it. So we'll be able to reconnect again there. So I'm very excited to be here again. Like Kimberly said, a veteran, anything that I can do to support veterans, it feels like home. So that's why I'm here today. So the topic that we're going to discuss today is dressing for success with confidence. So I think Jim is on the line, and he's going to help me with the slide presentation. If I say next slide, he's going to help me with that. Are you there, Jim?
I'm here, yep.
Okay, fantastic. So I hardly ever do PowerPoint slides when I present. So Jim, please be very flexible with me. I will try my best to say go, go, go. I'm usually pretty free with my presentations. But we will work it out. So thank you for being on the line and being supportive as well.
No problem.
So as we get started, we talked about who I am and dressing for success, with confidence. We'll get into that, and then what you can expect from today's webinar. We're going to be talking about, what it means to dress for success, but more importantly, the inner part of dressing for success. Because when we get when we tune into that, then we can exude that confidence, with the way that we present ourselves externally to people, in the community and the ones that we want to serve in our business. And so we're going to talk about that first. So I want to share something with you, and I want to take you on this journey that I want you to follow me on for a minute here. And that journey is imagining that you're 14 years old. If you remember when you were 14 years old, it's a very awkward feeling. And I was a very awkward 14-year-old. So 14 years old, it's your very first day of high school, and you're getting ready. You're feeling nervous, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling unnerved, 100% awkward, because we all do. You get ready, you make your way to the bus stop. You're trying to find something really cool to say to the cool kids at the bus stop on the other side, right? Because that was me. So the bus approaches, and you get on, and the bus is almost like already full. But you find a seat in the back of the bus, so you make your way back there to sit down. But guess what? It's a group of seasoned high schoolers. So you take the ultimate risk, and you find your seat. But then one looks over at you. One of those seasoned high schoolers look over at you, and you try not to make eye contact with her. But you can't help but to notice her staring. She turns around and makes a comment about the clothes that you're wearing. She says, "Who is she? Who does she think she is? And what does she have on?" And you just freeze in total awe, anxiously awaiting to get off of the bus. But little did you know that this would be something that would last the entire school year. You become the center of attack. The way that you look, the way that you walk, your voice, and apparently who you are is a target for bullies. Now you go on through high school, the rest of the year of high school, and you even progress through 3 remaining years without any visible scars, but you still hide. You wear clothes that keep you in the shadows, and you barely use your voice. When you do, it's much easier to agree to resist the possibility of attack. You go on through your life accepting jobs, friends, and even partners just to fit in. You spend every waking day of your life wanting to feel accepted. Well, I just shared my story with you. And so maybe this story is not like yours, but maybe you have a bully of your own that's kind of kept you in hiding, because we're in transition. Sometimes we like to be in hiding. Kept you from using your voice and really living the life of your dreams, showing up and being the person that you want to be. The bully was like a hawk in my life. It followed me from my childhood through adolescence and well into my adult life. I became comfortable in hiding. I was really comfortable in hiding. I was covering myself in work. You know what you do when you're in the military, you can cover yourself in work. But the bully started to show face again to tell me that I wasn't good enough for anything besides what I was doing right there as an employee. It told me that this is who you are. This is your comfortable place. This is all you knew from age 14 to now 30-something odd years later. But I needed change. You always know that feeling when you need change in your life. I needed change. My body was in dis-ease. I was sick every Sunday afternoon because workday was Monday. I was in the ER for migraines. I was 30 pounds overweight and depressed. But I was sitting in my desk chair like one day, and I felt this strong pull. I don't know what you believe in, but I felt this strong pull. And the voice said, Shavonne, you can't do this anymore. So you know when you have to schedule an appointment on your phone. I went into my phone, and I scheduled resign. So June 2014 is when I resigned. And I'm not just talking about resigning from the job that I had. It was resigning from the life that I had, resigning from being invisible. And at that time is when the journey begins to really stepping into my freedom and being free. And I want to share with you what that means today for this session about dressing for success with confidence. And so what I learned, number one, was to embrace that story, that part of me, because there's a teacher and a lesson, right? And the teacher and the lesson for me was that the bully was teaching me about self-acceptance. That's the foundation of dressing for success with confidence. It's self-acceptance, loving our story, accepting our story, and the body that we're in today. The bully was teaching me about individuality, owning my uniqueness, and self-expression. And number two, what I learned is I call it a beast. That bully was a beast. I say turn the beast into a blessing. A coach of mine said, you know what, Shavonne? That thing that the bully used to attack you for in your childhood, the way that you looked and the way that you talked, is the same thing that people compliment you on today. Your voice and the way that you help people look and feel beautiful from the inside out. You see how you can turn the beast into a blessing? Because everything that we do in our lives, how we're meant to serve in this, is an extension of us. In our story, the thing that brought us to this point today. And when we embrace that, then we can show up in a very, very confident way. And number three, I said give it all away. Because anything that you experience is not meant for just you. It's meant to share. Because you never know who that one person, because it's always just one or more, in the room that's ready to hear what you have to say. And it's exactly what they need to change their life. And something really, really magical happens when we step into the space of, when we step into freedom. It's like that sense of competition dissipates. It's like we no longer have to think about, how am I going to show up in the world so I can attract everybody, so everybody likes me. We know that we're meant to serve a special segment of the population. And that's who we show up to serve, by being exactly who we are. So it's more about connection now and less about competition. So knowing that, we're going to go back, because when we're in this phase of transition, especially when we take off the uniform and we go into this unknown territory, it's a very vulnerable space. We don't know what to expect. We don't know how to show up. And it almost feels like the bully. Why? Because people don't seem not to look or talk like us, what we're used to looking like, what we're used to talking like. There's a sense of adapting to a culture that we're not familiar with. So it almost feels like, do I really belong here? And then those feelings of, I'll speak for myself, inadequacy, thinking that I'm not needed, that what I have is already taken. Nobody wants to hear my voice. All that dissipates when we realize that, thank you, bully, for showing up. We thank the bully. We say there's a teacher and a lesson in this. And this right here, the bully that's trying to keep me safe, is because what we have is really meant to serve in a much greater way. It's scary as I don't know what. But there's something big inside of us. And we turn the beast into a blessing by saying, I have a story. I embrace that story, but I'm also going to use that story as an extension of my mission in my business, an extension of how I show up in my life and how I use my voice and connect with other people. And the last one is giving it all away. We know that anything that happens in our life is not meant for us to keep to ourselves, but meant to share because other people need to hear it. So that's the first part of dressing for success with confidence. It's really standing and owning the space that we're in and accepting where we came from. It's about self-acceptance first. So now we're going to go into the second segment of dressing for success with confidence. And that answers the question, how do I show up in different situations? And there's three things that I really like to talk about. But first I'm going to share with you, if you know that 55% of what you say is nonverbal, do you know what your clothes are saying about you? Do you know what that message is? Do you give it away? Do you abandon it? Do you just think it's too much? Too much for me to handle. I got all these other things to worry about in my life right now, today, that dressing for success, quote unquote, is just too much. So I'm going to share with you like three most important aspects of what that means to dress for success and exude confidence externally. And that is, and these are secrets that I tell my people when I also speak at workshops. So I'm giving you all the information. Nothing's kept secret here. And that is fitting in, standing out, and making it count. So what does it mean to fit in? Understanding that there's a certain aspect of what you do. There's a perception to what you do in your industry. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. Basically what that means, I'm going to go through, I took this skills inventory test that I tell everybody about because I'm really excited about it. And I want to share why that's important right now, because it tells us what we excel in, number one, the areas that we excel in, number one, and number two, like what is the perception for how people will see us, like what is other people's perception of us when we show up in those specific areas. And so the skills inventory test has, I think, 5 different areas. It's conventional, realistic, it's artistic, it's social, and it's investigative. I don't think I missed one, but if I did, I'll go back to it. And so what I'm going to share with you today is my test, and then my results, and then why it's important to you. The results that I get, and we're still staying into fitting in, right? And so the results that I got there were artistic, entrepreneur, enterprising. That was the one I missed. So there's 6. Enterprising, and social. Social, enterprising, and artistic. So what does that mean? For me, it means that whatever I do in my mission has to align with those 3 things. I have to be able to be artistic, expressive, original, right? And an independent thinker. Number 2, whatever I do in my business has to be enterprising, where I'm able to sell things and ideas to other people, be ambitious, energetic, and liking to connect with other people. And number 3, everything in my business has to have a social aspect. So what does that mean? Helping people with people things. That's what that means. So there's a certain perception that goes with being StyleChurch, being a business owner of StyleChurch, right? So that means that I'm helping people with people things, right? Self-acceptance, self-confidence. It also means there's an aspect of enterprising aspect in there, and then the last one is social. But the most important part of that is the creativity aspect of what I do is helping people dress for success with confidence. So when we talk about creativity and how we show up, we know that somebody that's creative, we're expecting, right, them to market themselves as a creative person. So that's what I mean by fitting into the industry first. It's saying that, my industry is more creative, number 1. The people that I'm meant to serve are going to expect me to show up as a creative person because I'm marketing myself. The way that I look is a marketing tool for me in showing that I'm a creative person, right? And so if we go into some of the other ones, if we go into social aspect, that means we're helping people with people problems. If most of our business is around coaching and consulting, we want to seem relatable to people. We want to seem like people can approach us, that we're trustworthy in helping, right? And so we want to project that in how we present ourselves outwardly to people too. So sometimes, somebody told me a story recently. they said that a lot of their work is outreach, and for the veteran community, as a matter of fact. And they told me the minute that they changed from out of the suit into a very business casual look, more people started to come to them. There's that perception again of being social, having an outreach type of business, right, or job, so to speak. So the perception is that if I come to you for a social issue, I want to be able to see you as somebody that can relate to me. So that means we have to take off the suit. Sometimes we got to take off the suit and be more approachable in our dress. That means probably a little bit more business casual than business professional. Okay, so if we're doing more conventional, we're talking about maybe, accounting jobs, bookkeeping jobs. I'm just kind of going over different things. If we're going more conventional, then we may want to do more of a business suit, because people that are in that industry and the perception for that specific industry is structure and order. So we want to present ourselves in that way so people can see us as somebody that they want to do business with. Okay, and the other one I'll go over is if your job is a little bit more realistic. Maybe you're working with tools and machinery. Maybe you're working on computers. A three-piece suit or a suit for a woman might be a little bit too conventional for that type of work. Maybe a little bit more business casual. Okay, if we're thinking about investigative, we may want to go a little bit more conventional. We may want to have a uniform because we're thinking about people that are solving problems, right? We may want to have a little bit more of a uniform if our job is a bit more investigative. So what I mean by fitting in is thinking about, like, what is the industry standard for your specific field, number one, and how can you mimic that? That's one part of dressing for success. I'm going to share something else with you that seems like the total opposite of that. So it's really about mixing the two, because the second part of that is talking about standing out. So I said fit in, now I'm telling you to stand out. And that means because there's so many people, or it seems to be so many people in the industry that's doing the exact same thing as you, there's a message that you bring, and that message is part of the story that we started off with at the very beginning of the conversation about what brought you to this point today. Why did you choose this industry? Why did you choose to go into entrepreneurship and serve people in this specific way? Owning and accepting that story is the part that helps you stand out from the masses and say, well, I know that this is my specific story, and this is why I want to help this specific segment of the population, because you're not meant to serve everybody. Everybody's not meant to serve everybody, even though we may be doing similar things. We have a certain segment of our population that we're meant to serve. Mine may be specifically helping men and women in transition, specifically the military population, or people in the adult women and men in the workforce that are transitioning. Maybe they've had setbacks. These include like second chance population, people that have been homeless. It's people that are professionals that are transitioning, because there's a vulnerable state in transitioning. So you're going from one place to another, and you're trying to determine how to show up. So it's just defining what that is for you, what your story is that can help align with the business that you have. And then will help you then determine who you're meant to serve and how you're meant to show up to serve those people. Okay. So part of my story comes from where I grew up as well, and the people that I grew up around. I grew up around a very fashion-centric or stylish people, very urban type of environment. So that's part of the story that brings me here to StyleChurch, and I bring that, an extension of that to you today. So that's what I'm trying to say is, like, what is that story that's going to help you stand out? And then fitting in is understanding what the industry standard is, so people feel like they can relate to you. And so the last part that I'm going to talk about before we go into the fun thing, I got some clothes behind me here. So the last part that I'm going to talk about for the actual presentation is making it count. So we know that we're in a place in our job, in entrepreneurship where we're making lots of connections. This is the phase that we're in. We're making connections for most of us, if you agree. So it's all about how we present ourselves and how we connect to other people. So making it count means that you have the power to change the energy in a room in an instance, and what that really means is how you present yourself. And so we're going to use energy as an acronym so we can define what that really means, making a lasting impression. So E is always being excited. N is being like non-judgmental. How can I be accepting of this person even though I may not agree with what they have to say? How can I be accepting? And the other E is being able to express ourselves confidently. So that's going back to the drawing board and saying, like, what is my business about? If I go to this networking event, it's going to be like 10 other people in the room that are consultants, they're doing coaching. How do I make myself stand out? And the R is always being respectful. Like we said, we're not always meant to serve everybody, but there's a specific or population that we're meant to serve. And just being respectful of the people in the room. There's no competition. The goal is always connection. G is being grateful. The road to entrepreneurship is will test your strength and your faith and everything else. So being grateful for what you have, what got you this far today. Because all of these things that I'm talking about right now seem like they don't have much to do with dressing, but it has everything to do with how you show up. Because we can always put pretty clothes on you. But if you don't feel good, if you don't feel confident, then it's a total fail. So a coach of mine once said, we want you to be the beautiful cake and not just the cake with the beautiful icing. So that just comes from being and feeling beautiful, starting from the inside. Because it's a road that not everybody is willing to travel, because it's hard. And so the last one I'm going to talk about is why. I had to say the letters to myself. So why is saying yes? How can we find ways to say yes when we're connecting with people? Because it's easy to get into the sense of competition and being afraid that somebody already has a piece of what you want, and taking on, because there's a lot of connection that has to happen. You're going to be taking on free work. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that going to help you build your business. So saying yes is going to be very important, because it's about building connection and relationships first. So finding ways to say yes it has everything to do with making a lasting impression, and in the way that you show up. So what we just did for this segment is we went over the story. And what is your story? I want you to think about what your story is and why it's important to your mission. And then the second part is when we went over like kind of the external part of dressing for success. And we said 3 major parts of dressing for success is standing out, fitting in, and making it count. Right? And why it's important to you in the way that you show up in your business. And we haven't even really talked about clothes per se. We went over generally about how to show up, but we haven't talked about clothes per se. So we're going to go, the next part of this, we're going to go into the clothes part of it. And I have some clothes that I want to share with you today, some attire that I have over here. And this is really to help you, to set you up for success when you come to San Antonio. And when you come to the event, and understanding like how you're supposed to show up and what you're supposed to wear specifically for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because there's some opportunities for business. There's going to be an opening ceremony, so there's business professional there. There's going to be business casual, but also a photography session. So the transition from business casual to business professional is going to be very important. And then the travel days, because we want to talk about those as well, because the travel days coincide with the actual event days. So we want to make sure we still look professional, even though we may be coming in on a travel day and having to attend a session and leaving at the end. We're going to be at the very last day, maybe a travel day as well. So we want to make sure that we're showing up in a very professional way. So it's very, very important for us to know. So I want to know if anybody has any questions for me so far. I'm happy to answer questions right now before I transition. No questions yet? Okay. All right, so we're going to go into clothes. I'm going to pull this rack out so you guys can see. Hopefully you can see. Let me know if you cannot. So as we're talking about preparing for the event, Friday may be a travel day for some of you. Is that true?
Yeah, most everybody's going to be traveling in on Friday, Shavonne. Yep.
Fantastic. So Friday's going to be a travel day, right? So we're thinking about travel, but we're going to a conference. And I'm going to share with you that most of you are transitioning, or I forgot to ask everybody where they were from. Most people are transitioning into fall. In San Antonio, August is the absolute hottest month of the year. So for those of us that don't know, are we all local? I just had a question come up. Alice asks, I live in San Antonio and it is hot. Yes, Aaron. Yes, Aaron. It is very, very hot in San Antonio. It's the hottest month. But I'll share with you how to mix and match some things too. And then Alice is asking, how do you dress for different careers? Is someone in a creative field dressed the same way as someone in a business field? That's a very, very good question. And that was part of the small segment that we went over when we talked about fitting in. And so somebody in a creative field, you're marketing yourself as a creative. And so part of that answer to that question is yes. But it also, the second part of that question, the second part of that answer is knowing who you are, as well, and how you want to show up and who you want to serve is going to be very, very important in how you present yourself. So the basic answer to your question is somebody in a creative field will show up different, because the perception is if you're creative, you're expressive, you're original, you're an independent thinker, we want to see that. The people that are hiring you, your clients, and people that are doing prospective partnerships with you, they want to see that you're a creative person, and so you want to show that to them. So there is a line that we have to draw with creativity, because we're still thinking about balance and proportion, and the foundation of everything that we do and how we show up is professionalism. So we always want to keep that as the basis of how we present ourselves, is to be professional, right? So that means that you don't necessarily have to wear a suit. You don't have to be corporate, so to speak, but you do have to be professional, and maybe you can show a little bit more of your creative side by dressing up the accessories, the shoes that you wear, the purse that you wear, or some of the jewelry that you wear. You can show up, and maybe some more patterns actually in your clothes than you would if you were more of a business type person, so to speak, in the business field. So, and even in business, it really depends on what your field is, because you can have a little bit of creativity in there. In business, it really depends on what your field is and and who you are meant to serve. But to answer your question, Alice, yes. Did that answer you? And I see that came from VetNet Entrepreneurs, but I wanted to make sure I answered that question.
Yeah, I think she asked that earlier in the week, Shavonne, one of the ones that we posted, so she may not have been able to log on live, so she'll get that in the recording.
Okay. Yeah, so the answer to that question is yes. But we're going to go into a little bit about preparing for the conference. So we'll do that now. So Friday, we say, is a travel day, but we're also having opening ceremonies. So I'd say first with packing and thinking about packing for a conference. We know it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Is that correct? And so we also know that we have travel days in there, but also know that you can pack less and have more. That's the big thing that we want to talk about: packing less and having more. How are we doing? I thought I heard something. No? Okay. So packing less and having more. And so what I mean by that, if you guys can see right here, I have a pair of denim trousers. So they're a little bit casual because it's a denim, right? But it has a wide leg, and the silhouette is more like a trouser. And I'm pairing this with a blousey top, okay? And then what I can do with the top is that I can belt the top. I don't know if you guys can see me. Can you see me?
Yeah, you're a little bit more centered now, Shavonne.
Okay, you guys can see me. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I can belt the top as well. And I'm just going to kind of tie it like this. But I wear that with the slacks, with the denim trousers on the airplane. And I can also take it and put this brown jacket on top of it, because sometimes it gets cold in the airport or in the airplane. So we can have that as a layered piece. Okay. And so then,
I gotta echo that, Shavonne. Layers are really important because it is so hot outside.
yes.
So we'll be really blasting the AC in the hotel. So it's going to be quite a change coming in and out.
It definitely is. So I'm glad that you brought up that point, Kimberly. So don't let the weather outside determine what you should wear completely. We also want to think about layers, and that was one of the big questions that ladies asked me before was, how do I pack, so I can be comfortable at the conference, but also comfortable with traveling, and I can mix and match things. So the thing about wardrobe is always to be versatile. Your wardrobe never has to be abundant. Even when you're packing, you don't have to stuff your suitcase, so it doesn't have to be abundant. It just has to have versatility. So that's the most important thing. And what I also say for you, what you can do is to get your outfits together in advance, take photos of it from head to toe, save it in an app like Evernote, and that way you don't have to think about what you're going to wear every single day. You already have it planned out. So that's one less burden that you have. So you're not scrambling through your suitcase trying to figure things out, and you're stressed out in the morning. But the big thing that I want to bring home is the versatility. I have a necklace paired with this. I can also wear it on a different day, but I'm going to go to like the opening ceremonies. I have a simple red dress. So there's a theme here, and there's a theme here on purpose. So the initial thing about packing is having a theme, so that way you can easily mix and match and you're not overpacking. So you think about the colors that you want to wear first, right? And for this particular theme, I have some denim here. That's a basic color, mostly browns and reds here, right? And so when you think about a theme, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 colors max. And then it makes it a lot easier for you when you're thinking about what to pack, because you can mix and match a lot of things. So I have a knit dress here that you can wear. It's like a chic dress that you can wear for opening ceremonies. If you get cold, you can put the jacket on top of it. So there we go. We're talking about versatility again. And this can even become a really business professional wear. So we can go from, cocktail hour and fun, and then we can go really business professional if we put the jacket on too. Okay, I think it's a little hard to see. I'm not sure. And then on Saturday, we have this skirt. Everybody can see this skirt here. It's a flared skirt. So all these items are easy to pack as well. So flared skirt. So we can either do a shell, which is like a cardigan in a nude color, and we can do this jacket with it again. See, we're talking versatility. Hope you guys can see. Let me know if you can't see. We're talking versatility again, right? Or we can do this shirt, and that means we're being a little bit more creative because we have pattern on top of pattern here with the creativity. Okay? And then, again, Sunday is a travel day and also the last day of the conference. Do I have that right, Kimberly?
Yes, you do.
Okay. And so we have the denim trouser again. Ta-da! Again, we don't have to have something different every single day. We just have to learn how to mix and match items because we can create a different outfit. We can take that shell that we wore with this skirt and we can pair it with the jacket again and be totally fine for the conference and again for traveling because again we have layers. We have a jacket that's going to keep us warm inside the conference and then when we get to the airport, on the airplane. So when we think about packing, again, we want to think about versatility, number one, but the most important thing is to think about 3 colors. 3 colors. Stick with 3 colors and being able to and mix and match those 3 colors to pack. And it makes it really easier for you, when it's time to change into your wardrobe. And so the shoes, I would say 2 pair of shoes, a pair of flats. A nice pair of flats can be like an Oxford. Excuse me, one second. These are fun shoes I like to wear. A nice Oxford. And this is good for traveling. Or I have like a short brown pair of heels too that you can wear. It's very simple. But you limit yourself to 2 items. That way you have something that you can walk around with, and then something that's good for, those more business professional settings. Because again, we're going to be doing headshots there. I think on Saturday and Sunday.
Yep, Friday from 3 to 5, and then Saturday from 6 to 8. You can have the option of getting your professional headshot taken. Yep.
Okay, fantastic. And then you have your casual wear for your traveling days as well. So this is time for question and answer. So I really want you guys to ask some questions so I can help you prepare as much as possible for the conference. And I do have some giveaways, so engagement. So the engagement is going to be essential here. So the first thing that I want to ask is about are you prepared to pack? And what are you going to pack?
So I have a selfish question, Shavonne.
Fantastic.
I have gained a little weight over the last couple of years.
Okay.
And there's some parts of me that I'm a little bit self-conscious about.
Okay.
So I'm wondering, how to dress for maybe different body types, and how to feel confident, in that way, because we're all on that journey together.
Yeah, I love that you asked that question, Kimberly. So I'll talk a little bit about that. So dressing for body types is first understanding, like, what is my body type specifically? And so if we can describe our body as an hourglass just for a minute here, roll with me. And so if we think about the actual hourglass itself, think about our waist, like the smallest part of the hourglass is the waist. So proportionally, like, think about your body and think about if the top part of your body or top part of that hourglass is proportionately larger or smaller, and if the bottom part of that hourglass is proportionally larger or smaller. Because what we want to essentially create is the hourglass. And so we want to balance out our body so we can create that hourglass. So I'll give you an example, and then you can ask me a specific question about your body type too. And so, because it's kind of hard for me to see you, Kimberly.
Might be by design, Shavonne. I don't know.
It's okay. And so, I'll talk about myself here for a second. For myself, I think about the hourglass. The top part of my body is bigger than the bottom. And so I want to balance that out by giving myself more volume at the bottom. And so that was part of the reason why I chose this name, because I chose things that I like. Because it creates volume with these pockets at the bottom, because I'm smaller at the bottom. And so that's what we want to do. We want to compensate so we can create an hourglass figure. I have a small waist, and so I want to do umpire. I want to do seams that go like right below my bust, or I want to do a drop waist seam so it can create a longer torso. Right? I have a short torso, and so those are the things that we want to keep in mind. Also, height is a big thing. Sometimes when we are a little bit shorter in stature, we tend to wear things that are a little bit too long when essentially we should be wearing things that are hems that are a little bit shorter. And what I mean by shorter, goodness, what I mean by shorter is like right above the knee. Right above the knee, because we have to also consider when we're sitting down that things tend to rise when we sit down. And so we want it to hit right above the knee when we're standing up, right? And so always thinking about creating the hourglass. If our midsection is the heaviest, right, or the biggest part of our body, because I hold
weight. I would admit to that, yes.
I hold weight in my midsection as well, right? And so the biggest thing, for me, sometimes like drapery tops, we think are comfortable, they make us look a little bit bigger. So anything that can help us create a more structured and hourglass look is going to be really, really, really good. So again, we don't want to highlight the belly with big belts or anything like that. We want to think about umpire. We want things to come up to the eye. So we're thinking about maybe showing maybe a little bit more of the décolleté area, and then umpire waistline, and then dropping down more of an A line. Okay. So things are a little bit more structured. Somebody else has a question here.
Yeah, Aaron's got a couple in there. I'll let you answer Aaron's.
Yeah, and so wrap dresses are usually good for everyone as well. I would say A-line, so always balance in proportion. If we go longer in length and more volume at the bottom, we want to do less volume at the top, more structure at the top. If we do more volume at the top, because we're smaller at the top, we want to do less volume. And then also thinking about color, I'm going to go to Aaron's question. When we think about color proportions, the areas that we feel proportionately larger, darker colors usually work. This is a foundation, right? So darker colors usually in those areas that we want to quote unquote hide, right? Or smaller patterns in those areas where we want to quote unquote hide, okay? And then lighter colors or more patterns in the other areas that we want to accentuate in our bodies. Did that answer your question, Kimberly?
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And so Erin asks 2 questions. One of the questions is about jewelry. She asked me if I can talk a little bit about wearing jewelry for your headshot, and I can. And so I would say, I don't know if you know what you're going to wear already, Erin, but I would say minimal jewelry for your headshot. You want people for your headshot. You want people to see your eyes. So we think about it like an interview, because our headshot is going to be essentially our marketing piece. So we're marketing ourselves, and people want to pay attention to you, who you are as a person, your face, and not have any distractions. So we're thinking about being minimal, but also things that complement the things that we're wearing. And something that goes really well with our skin tone as well is going to be the basis of what kind of jewelry. So we want to do like light makeup and have have our hair presentable, and then have the necklace, I think, be really, really simple. It's fine. And then the next question was, she says, I'm 5'11", I don't mind wearing heels. I feel fine in them, but I often feel like I'm overpowering other people. Should I be more cognizant of this, or go with it, what I feel comfortable with? Go with what you feel comfortable with. I think it's a good position to be in, actually, that you're 5'11", but as long as you feel confident, being that tall. I think it's all about confidence and how you position yourself, and not so much what other people may perceive in that sense, because you're tall. I mean, that's just who you are. You're tall. But I don't think you should have to play yourself down. I think the more that you own it, the more other people will see that you own it. And so I think it's a good way to be. Yeah, so any other questions for me? No questions for me? I love questions. Okay.
Some folks might be typing, Shavonne. It takes a little.
Okay.
It might take a minute or two.
Hold on a second.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so someone here says, I love wearing dresses. Is it okay to wear an easy pack, no ironing pattern dress with a blazer or cardigan for business, even if we are not in a creative industry? Also, how do you feel about sandals and suits in places like San Antonio? And the third question is, how often should we update headshots every time we change our hairstyles? Oh, these are all really good questions. Thank you, Erica, right? Okay, fantastic. Okay, so the first question was about dresses, and whether to pack an easy, no ironing pattern dress. So the first question I would ask you, what is the material of that dress and the silhouette? Because we want to make sure that the dress is still not casual. We still want to look professional in the dress, even if we put on a blazer or a cardigan. So the big thing is just making it look professional as possible. So the answer to your question is yes, you can wear a dress. I recommend dresses because they're easy outfits. All you have to do is put on the jewelry and the shoes, and with that as well, it can change you from a business professional to dinner to something more casual, depending on the shoes that you wear. So dresses are really, really easy. So yes, you can. But so professionalism is always the foundation of everything. And then the next question is, even if we are not in a creative industry. So yes, yeah, that was part of the first question. So absolutely. So dresses, I want to be clear and say dresses are not just for people that are in a creative industry. The thing about personal style is that you always start with the basics, and then you can dress it up with the jewelry or the shoes that you wear. So you can be more creative with the jewelry and the shoes that you wear, starting with a very basic or classic dress. So it's just about playing it up or playing it down, however you see fit for your specific industry and how you want to show up. And then the next one is, how do I feel about sandals and suits? I don't feel really good about sandals and suits. I would say if you're walking around the city, and this is your second pair of shoes to walk around the city because you want to be comfortable, yes. But if you're actually at the conference, I would say closed-toe shoes as much as possible, or a peep-toe shoe. Something that shows a little bit of your feet, because when we show our feet, people are looking at our feet. So people are now distracted. And they're not paying so much attention to us, they're looking at our feet. So being as professional as possible and keeping the focus on our face and who we are is going to be very, very important. And that means less distractions. So we're still showing up totally business. Even if we're creative, we still have the structure and order in place, because we want the focus to be on us and our face. And then the headshots. Headshots are very, very expensive, usually. So I would say you don't have to change your headshot every time you have a different hairstyle, because you can probably tell that mine, I had a lot more hair than I don't now. So I would say you don't. That's not something you necessarily have to do. My business cards even have my picture on the back with a lot more hair. I think it's totally fine. It's all about connection. Sometimes we can spend a lot of money up front with the marketing piece. The connection piece is much more important. We have an opportunity, during the conference to have those headshots taken. Use them for as long as you need to. Making connections and growing your business is going to be much, much more important.
And I can speak to the price of that as well, Shavonne. We're getting a great deal from our photographers, so the headshots will be $15. Most people will be going out spending a couple hundred, if not more, on a professional headshot. So great opportunity there if you want to update yours if you haven't done it in a while or if you've never done one.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so happy you said that, Kimberly. That's absolutely true. Like I said, the center of what we're doing now is, we're in the beginning parts of our business, so we want to be able to market ourselves in a way where we can, on our business cards or promotional materials. But connection is the center. I mean, that's what we want to do. We're building business, so we're going to be talking to people. So it's about how we're presenting ourselves physically, like in person, in real life, and everything else would be second. Like the headshots and all that are pretty secondary in that regard. Any more questions for me? 12:52. Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you very clearly.
Hi, my name is Shavonne. I have 2 questions now.
Sure.
Because of the last comment. So I'll let you see me real fast.
Okay.
So I'm in uniform right now, which means when I'm not in uniform, I tend to be a little more adventurous in the look.
Oh.
I think it's just my rebellious streak. So can you tell me a little bit more about maybe hair color? Like, for example, I sometimes have like a very light purple rinse to my hair. It sounds worse than it is, but it's not that bad. But would you recommend we stay away from that? And then the second question has to do with the headshots on Friday. So the last couple of weeks I've been looking at different shots online, writing down the things that I like or didn't like about certain looks, but I'm not sure if I should be wearing a jacket with a stand-up collar or a boot neck with a statement necklace. How will we know when we bring our outfit to V-Wide that it's appropriate, I guess, for the headshot? Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, these are all really good questions. Okay, so the first question is about your hair. So I go back to how do you want people to see you? So I think this is a big transition period for military, because when we're in the military, people are telling us what we're supposed to look like and how what we're supposed to dress like, how we're supposed to present ourselves. There's a box, that we have to stay in, which is completely fine. I think in entrepreneurship world, we have to first consider who we want to serve. We're not meant to serve everybody, but first consider who we want to serve and how we should show up for those people. And an aspect of that is also being who you are, because people want to see exactly who you are. They want to work with you as an individual and not necessarily your brand. People like people. People work with people they like to work with. And so I think the biggest thing is presenting yourself as you, also as a professional. So there's 2 aspects of it. So the hair is I think is fine. It'll be your judgment. If it looks like it's distracting and people are taking their eye away from you and focusing on your hair, then that may be a little bit of a distraction, which may require you to tone it down a little bit. But I would say essentially be yourself. Be the person that you want to present to the masses. And so that's going to be very, very important, going forward. I think, if as long as your hair is groomed, and the focus is not on your hair, and then what you're wearing becomes a distraction as well to your hair, then I think it's totally fine. I think it's totally fine. And then your clothes. You asked me a question about your clothes as well. I said you can wear a collared shirt. You don't have to wear a collared shirt. I always think about things that are going to be easy to wear, because remember, some of us are going to be away from home for what I understand, and so there's the packing that comes into play, and when you unpack, there's ironing that comes into play, and so we're thinking about things that are really, really easy for us. And so sometimes knits are really a lot easier for us to wear and to mix and match. Without having to worry about things getting wrinkled, because when we're sitting for a long period of time, we're taking off jackets and putting on jackets. Our shirts underneath will get wrinkled. Knit materials don't wrinkle as fast as some cotton button shirts. So it's all those things to take into play. So I would just start with the foundation. If you want to do a knit and a skirt and a jacket, that's fine. You can play it up with some jewelry. That's absolutely fine. I would say pick one thing that's the primary. Like, what is it that you want to highlight? One thing in your outfit that you want to highlight, and let everything else be a complement to that. So that minimizes the idea of distraction. I have another question here. It looks like dressing for success seems like quite the undertaking for someone who doesn't follow fashion. What advice do you have on building a professional wardrobe that doesn't require you to look and feel like someone in a fashion magazine? That's a good question. That's a question that I got from someone before as well. It's like sometimes we feel like we have to dress a certain way that is totally outside of who we are, and everything about style is unlike fashion. It's very different, and you know, fashion is an art form. Style is owning who you are and expressing that. You know, sharing with people who you are as an individual. And I say start with foundational pieces, you know, in your wardrobe, things that you really, really like, and then just start, adding jewelry and adding shoes. I want you to be comfortable. I want you to be professional, but I want you to feel like you're yourself. That's the message that I really want to bring home to you, is making sure that you feel like yourself and how you want to project on the outside.
All right, and Shavonne, we're coming to the end of our time here, so I don't know if we want to answer this one last question that just came through. What are your favorite places to shop? And then we can actually turn to our giveaways. Okay,
let's do it. All right, that's fantastic. Okay, and so what are my favorite places to shop? This is a good question. So depending on budget, I shop at the Goodwill. I shop at Target. I shop online a lot. I do Amazon. I do a place called the Outnet. I do off Fifth. I do a wide variety of places, and I say that because style is not about brand at all. Style is about finding clothes that fit your body, number one, and express who you are, number two. So somebody with great style their wardrobe will look absolutely effortless on them, and the brands don't matter. It's all about the fit, because things will help you look slimmer, and it will increase quality when they fit you. So that's the most important thing, is clothes that fits. But those are some ideas of some places that I shop. It just depends. If it looks good, I shop vintage as well. If it looks good, then I do it. Okay, and so we'll kind of move on into the giveaways real quick. It seems like we are really close on time right now. And so I will do a few giveaways. The first giveaway is going to be, I have a moo.com $25 gift certificate.
It's not a hat, but I do have.
It's close. It's very, very close. And so what this is for, after you do your headshots, I always recommend people to put their face on the back of their business card so people can remember who you are. And also, like your promotional materials, you get to show people who you are. So this is all about visibility.
All right. So the winner of our moo.com gift certificate is Ecstasy.
Ecstasy. I don't know if is she
here.
here?
She is here. I see her.
Fantastic.
Cool. So Ecstasy, we'll have that there for you when you arrive in San Antonio. We'll make sure we get that to you, okay?
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, fantastic. Congratulations, Ecstasy.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, and so drum roll. The next giveaway is going to be.
Oh, what is it, Shavonne?
It's called the Personal Style Book, and this is from my instructor, the person that taught me about personal style. And she talks about different body types as well, and how to create your own style, by Lauren Messiah. So a book on personal style, and the winner is
Carissa West.
Chris West. Is that what you said?
Carissa or Carissa? I recognize the name, but I've never spoken to her in person, so I actually don't know if I'm saying it right. But I think she might have been watching through YouTube. So we will make sure to get you that book, Carissa, at VY San Antonio.
Yes. She was live on YouTube. Fantastic. Okay, yeah. And so then the last giveaway is going to be from me. It's an opportunity for you to work one-on-one with me. If you want somebody to help you with your shopping for the conference, I can do that for you, absolutely complimentary. We would just discuss your budget ahead of time, and I will mix and match some items for you to try on at your hotel and talk about different shopping tips and style tips. So that is the giveaway for number 3. So next one.
Staff are kind of mad they weren't eligible for this one.
Oh. Oh no.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Holly Barrett, that is you.
Holly.
So Holly might have been another YouTuber watching.
Is Holly online?
Yep, I think she was on there via YouTube. So what I'll do, I'll connect you two via email, okay?
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Okay, so that wraps things up for us. I'm going to put a link in the chat box. If you guys can do a survey for me, tell us how we did. And I will see you at the conference on Saturday. Please come to me with your individual questions. I'll be more than happy to answer those for you as well. And that's all that I have. Thank you so much for the invitation, Kimberly.
All right, thank you so much, Shavonne. Thank you for everyone who was able to join live, and we look forward to seeing you in less than 2 weeks.
I know, fantastic. All right, cheers, ladies and gents. We'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.